Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video. It's a tutorial coming up using a very cheap flash and a very cheap trigger. I'll show you in a step-by-step format how you can easily take amazing pictures that look like this. In part one, I'll get down to the very basics of how to use your flash creatively off camera. Part two is a little bit of a bonus because it just so happens it was something quite exciting at the location where we filmed part one, so I just added it into the video. But do me a favor, whatever you do not miss part three. So I'm going to do this in three stages. The first stage is the easiest one. I'm just going to take a picture of a subject stood here, again using flash off camera. If you don't quite understand how flashes work, don't worry about it. Just follow this simple step-by-step tutorial. Just copy it piece for piece and I guarantee you'll end up with exactly the same result. First of all, the equipment I'm using. I've chosen in this instance to use a very cheap flash that's available on eBay and probably Amazon as well. It's a Yongnuo 560 and this is a version 4. It's a really old rattly flash and it cost me originally £35, but I think I'll cover myself by saying you could buy these brand new for less than £50. It's a manual flash, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. And then there's a trigger attached to it as well. So that'll trigger the flash whilst it's away from the camera. That is all you need for stage one. Okay, so step number one, just ignore the flash for a quick second. What you need to do is set your camera to manual. Set your camera to manual, it's very, very important. Set your ISO to 100 or the lowest number that it can go to, and then set your shutter speed to 125th of a second. But the 125th of a second is the important part of the calculation here. Don't go higher, don't go lower at this present moment in time. I'll explain why that's important later on in the tutorial. Next is simply aim your camera up at the sky, activate the light meter on your camera, then adjust only the aperture until the light meter sits in the middle. You can use your histogram if you want to. What we're trying to do is get a perfect exposure of the sky, not the subject, not the floor, but the sky. So now we've set the camera to expose on the sky. Remember, it's all about the sky details. So the sky in essence becomes our background in this particular instance. I'm not going to touch any more settings on the camera. I'm now just going to take a picture of our subject with lots of sky in the image. So up to our subject, focus on the subject and come down nice and low to get lots of sky information in there. And that's what we end up with. We've now ended up with a perfectly exposed sky, and because the subject is on the floor and the floor is generally darker than the sky, we've now ended up with an underexposed subject on the floor, which is perfect. Next, set your flash to manual. Remember, any flash will do as long as you're able to set your flash to manual. Set your flash to manual, and I recommend setting it to about 1/4 of a power. If you don't know how it works, if you turn your flash up to full power, it'll show 1/1. That means that's full power. Then if you start scaling it down, powering it down, normally it's 3 clicks. It works the same as a camera. It's set in increments of thirds. So if you turn the power down by 3 clicks, then that will half the power. So it goes from full power to half power, then it goes 1/4, 1/8, 1/16, 32nd of a power, etc, etc. So just for the purpose of this exercise, set your flash to manual and set it to 1/4 of a power. Next, we're going to take a test shot of the subject. And as it happens, that looks good. But if we needed more light on the subject, there's 2 things we could do. One is we could turn the power of the flash up. Remember, at the moment it's only on 1/4 of a power. So we could turn the power up, we could take the power to 1/2 or maybe full, or the other thing we could do is move the flash closer to the subject, and if it's too bright, then of course it's the same in reverse. Once we've eventually got the camera set in manual and set up to expose correctly, and then we're happy with the flash, What we can then do is make simple adjustments of the flash relative to the subject, relative to the camera. Now we're going to go to stage 2, and that's only because this is here. By the way, please don't skip step 3. Step 3 is the picture of the aircraft that you've probably seen in the thumbnail, so that's coming up right after this. We'll keep this again very, very simple. So, camera on a tripod in this instance. I've got my composition and I've set my camera up in exactly the same way, just exposing for the sky. We've lost a little bit of light, so my camera settings at the moment, 125th of a second, ISO 100, and I'm now at f8 instead of f11. So I've just added an extra stop of light. Next is the flash. I needed to add a bit more light in terms of my flash because I need to flash the subject from further away than when I was flashing Lee a second ago. So instead of 1/4 of a power, I've now upped the power to half power. And it's as simple as that. I'm just going to wander around now and light up the subject matter from various positions. I'm going to keep it really simple, no more than 4 or 5, and then the magic happens in Photoshop by combining the layers and paint it in and paint it out the parts of the image that you want to preserve. It really is that simple. I've metered for the flash, so this is the distance I need to be away from the subject. First picture, I'm going to move around. Second picture, move around a little bit further. Third picture. Now at this point I'm just experimenting. I don't know if this is going to work or how well it's going to work, but this time I'll shine it through the glass at the back. One last one for good luck under the tractor. Now I'm at half power. My flash is going to be much closer to the subject under there, so I'm just going to reduce the power of the flash. I'll reduce it down to, so an 1/8 to the power is half of 1/4 of a power, and then 1/16 is half again. That should be fine. Gonna throw that underneath there like that. There, that might be fine. All right, slightly more than 4 or 5 images, but I think I've nailed that. But I gotta tell you, this is a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Now, I can't stress enough, this style of photography depends entirely on the subject. Whilst this isn't particularly a great item to photograph, it's still pretty cool to practice on.
Composition I've gone for is fairly straightforward. I'm slightly at an angle looking straight into the cockpit view. What I'm trying to do is get a 45-degree angle, but with a shallow wing on the other side I can't quite manage a 45-degree angle, otherwise it'll look as if this aircraft has only got one wing on the one side. So I'm slightly off center, rather than looking straight down its throat, I'm just off to one side, but I think that'll work very well in this instance. Now what I would ordinarily say is shutter speed to 125th of a second, ISO as low as you can get it, then adjust your aperture according to the light. But in this particular instance, I want to make sure that I'm photographing with a great depth of field, so I'm going to change it ever so slightly. In this instance, I've set my aperture to f8. It's important. The light, it doesn't look like it on this video, but the light is now starting to drop. My ISO, instead of 100, I'm going to raise it slightly, so my ISO is going to be 200. Now the shutter speed, you could set your shutter speed at any speed as long as it doesn't go over what's called your flash sync speed. In my camera's instance, that's 250th of a second, but I don't need to worry about that today because I'm going to lengthen that shutter speed right out. Again, I'm not hand holding my camera, so in this particular instance it doesn't matter. If you are hand holding your camera, then I would suggest that you don't shoot any longer than 125th of a second. Right, so now we've done that, let's take that picture so you guys can see exactly what I'm seeing. So according to the light now, my camera settings are f8, ISO 200, and I'm at a 15th of a second. And as you can see now, I've taken the picture, the sky is perfectly exposed, but the floor, including the aircraft, is now underexposed. And that's perfect, that's exactly where I want to be.
Just like before, I'm now going to flash the parts of the aircraft I think will look good lit up. I'm using a wireless trigger to capture the images remotely. You can buy a trigger for your camera but around about £40.
So now I'm going to try a couple of fancy bits. I'm going to try and place this inside the nose cone, and also I'm going to try and reach up to the cockpit on the far side and try and illuminate the cockpit so you can see it lit up as if it's lit up from the inside, from this side. Just a couple of fancy things that I like to do that I think will add weight to the picture. So I think I've taken enough shots there. Like I say, the magic is not what I capture here. This is about getting the basics right. The magic happens when I combine all those images in Photoshop in post-production. Just so you guys don't get confused by the setup of scenario number 3, the light is starting to drop on the subject. Now, ordinarily, I would always insist that you keep the 125th of a second intact, but adjust your camera by opening your aperture or raising your ISO, or a combination of both. But because the subject I'm photographing is an inanimate object, the object isn't moving, and neither is my camera is stationary on a tripod, then in this instance I have the luxury of adding more light onto my sensor by slowing my shutter speed down, and therefore I can maintain my aperture, which is important in this instance to maintain an f8, so I could keep that great depth of field throughout the image. So the reason why I always recommend that you shoot off-camera flash scenarios at 125th of a second is simply this. Once you've established the perfect exposure, you have a little bit of leeway with your shutter speed to adjust the ambient light, and only the ambient light in the scene. For instance, once you're happy with your exposure, if you then slow your shutter speed down to a 60th of a second, you will add in more ambient light. If you increase your shutter speed, you will reduce the ambient light. And just by that stop of light either side pretty much makes a massive difference to the end result of your off-camera flash image. And one thing is very important to remember here: adjusting your shutter speed will not affect the brightness of your flash. Adjusting the shutter speed will only affect ambient light. So now here's the fun bit. Take all the pictures that we've just captured, place them all into Photoshop in separate layers, add a black layer mask to each layer, then with a white paintbrush simply paint in the parts of the image that's been illuminated by our flash. Then just play around until you get the image to the way you want the image to look. If you're enjoying this content, I hate to ask, but do me a favor, help support the channel, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here.